I don't think I'm going to tell a 20-minute long story about life and all the events that occurred. But what I am going to talk about is the difference between rudeness and disagreement. Because I was just thinking about something. You know, you could disrespect a person and then run around saying, wow, I'm just a skeptic. That's all. I'm being skeptical. The other day, I was at the bookstore, and there was this woman. She was talking to a guy. They were having a conversation in the bookstore. And that woman said a lot of things which I thought, I'm just sort of rolling my eyes. You know, I'm sort of on the other side of the thing. I'm not looking at her or saying anything to her, but I'm just like rolling my, oh my God. I'm thinking, this woman is just saying stuff that she just pulling out of thin air. All kind of stuff about, you know, well, this means that this person, well, she said something about Prince, for example, you know, the singer. And the reason why he had him and his wife, I guess, ex-wife, I don't think they got divorced, but the child they had died, and the reason, and her thing was the reason why the child died was because he made a pact with the devil, and when you do that, that's what happens, and all kind of other stuff along those lines. And I'm thinking, this is so crazy. But, you know, I was thinking, if I was sitting down with that woman, just like the guy who was sitting down with her, I would listen to her, and I'd listen and listen. I wouldn't even tell her that what she said was wrong. I'm thinking to myself, okay, I don't think all that stuff is true, but whatever, I'm listening. And I may say, you know, well, okay, now it's time for me to go. Thank you for a pleasant evening. You know, I'll talk to you later. And that's it. I'm skeptical of everything she's saying. I'm not even going to bother to look that stuff up to see if it's true. I just don't agree. And that's it. You know, to me, that's true like 99.99% of the time. Sometimes people will say things, not all the time, but sometimes people will say things I don't agree with. But, you know, at the same time, I don't really have to say anything about it. I don't have to, you know, make a big deal out of it. I don't have to be loud about it. I don't have to tell a person, you're stupid. That's crazy. That's nuts. You know, I don't even have to correct the person. I don't have to. I really don't have to correct a person. Now, correcting a person isn't necessarily rude. But, you know, I'm not in the business of correcting people. I'm really not. I mean, if that was my job, if I were a teacher and I was teaching a class and someone said something that was incorrect, I would correct them. You know, it's just like at one time I was a tutor. And students, I was trying to get them to learn to pronounce words correctly in Spanish. So if they didn't roll those R's, you know, I had to, you know, correct them on it. I'd tell them to say the word for rice, arroz. And if they didn't that R, so I would just sort of, you know, no, you have to practice it and do it. I would go through the process of correcting them because that was part of what I was supposed to do. And that's what I was about, correcting them. That's not rude. I'm just doing my duty of correcting them. And it's what I want to do. And it's done within a certain framework. But, you know, to take it on to yourself is to be the person who corrects people all the time. You know, I mean, where do you get this authority that you're the one who must set people straight? Where do you get that from? I'm not out to set people straight. People can disagree with me. They can watch a video and let's say I talk about God and talk about miracles and how certain things are miracles and how, you know, I could talk about animals and how I care about animals and how, you know, and you could listen to me and say, oh, that's a bunch of junk. You know, you look and see, realize the video is 10 minutes long. Click, you just go to another video. I do that a lot. You know, sometimes I'll watch a video of people I subscribe to. I'm not unsubscribing to them, but if I realize that what they're talking about, I have no interest in, I just move on to the next thing. A lot of times I don't leave comments. I don't say things to people, and sometimes I do. And sometimes I correct people in a gentle and friendly manner, and sometimes I don't. I was thinking about a video about a year ago. I was watching this one video. And some guy was talking about horror movies, the best horror movies, and who, you know, and he happened to mention something about this movie Poltergeist, and he said that, you know, that in the thing in the caption, they said it was directed by Steven Spielberg. And I just gave him a nice correction. You know, gentle and friendly. Because I always frame it in a way of not being rude or trying to like act like I'm so smart and everything. But I just happened to mention it wasn't directed by Steven Spielberg, even though it was produced by him. You know, at the beginning of the movie, the opening credits, it says a Steven Spielberg film or something like that. I know that Steven Spielberg was the producer of that movie, but he didn't direct it. It was directed by Toby Hooper. I think that's the director's name. And if I got that wrong, someone can correct me on it, and that's okay. I don't mind people correcting me. Like someone had corrected me on one of my videos before I was talking about something about time travel and things like that, and they corrected me and saying that, because I was saying if you were going somewhere at the speed of light, you'd come back and time would have passed by twice as fast, when in fact it's the other way around. Time would actually slow down for you. And they corrected me, and there's no problem. I don't have in fact, I think that's great because I learned, if you correct me, okay, yeah, that's right. And I look it up. That's right. That's okay. You know, people correcting me isn't a problem. I don't have a problem. But you know, when some people sit there with this snobby attitude, like somehow they are superior and they have to set the savage straight on his ignorance, that's the thing. I think the key is it's the way you say things to people. Some people will use skepticism as a sort of cover for the fact that they have very poor social skills. And poor social skills come down to the way that you talk to people. You can speak to people in a very rude way, in a very rough way, in a very nasty way. And then you can sit there and justify, well, I'm a skeptic. That's why I'm saying things and why I'm correcting people. Yeah, you've taken on yourself as the teacher of the world. I'm not the teacher of the world. But you have to develop a good relationship with people first before you can run around and start correcting them. And then that has to be a role that you and that other person agreed to. With some people, there is that relationship where someone wants to do something. They want to learn something. So they can, that's part of the relationship. It's like some number of years ago when I was trying to brush up on my abilities in Mandarin. There was a student. In the job I'm in, we have student workers, and this was a student worker from China. And so, we would get together sometime and she would help me with Mandarin. And if I made a mistake in something or didn't pronounce something, she would correct me. I'm twice as old as she is, but she was teaching me things. But we agreed to that. That's like an agreement. I always think that whether something is perceived as rude or polite or whatever, it all has to do with a lot of ways in which people agree to how they're going to relate to each other. But when someone takes it on to themselves to be like a policeman of right thinking, they have to correct you and make you think the right way. It's almost like somebody just brutally grabbing you and forcing you to do something. Friendship, and you want to be friends with people. And I do. I actually want to be friends with people. But, sometimes I react to it when people try to force things on me. I don't like things being forced on me. And I don't like people talking down to me. And I try as much as I can not to talk down to other people. So if I find myself doing that, people can correct me, say, Philip, what you said sounded like you're trying to talk down to me. Maybe you aren't doing that, but I would prefer it if you talk like this. I might agree to that, or maybe I won't. But there's a thing about discussing things, talking about things, working out these things. But sometimes some people have to stop and think. Maybe sometime when people react to what you say, maybe you need to think about it. Because I do that a lot. When people react to what I say, I think about it. Did I do something wrong? Maybe I did, and maybe I didn't. Maybe some people, for example, don't like to be criticized at all. Ever. You have to take what they say and never express any kind of criticism, ever. Sometimes you have to, it's kind of a delicate act. That's one of the reasons why I said the thing about the art of morality. It's about morality and about being social and everything else. All those things have to do with being social. Morality is more of a social thing, really, when you get down to it. I think just like Einstein said, morality is important to us. It's important to us, to all of us as humans, in so far as getting along. It's not an issue about heaven and hell and all that stuff, which some people may argue with me on that, and fine, you can disagree. But it's really about getting along with people. That's what I think morality is. Now, can we make a science out of that? I don't know. I'm skeptical that that's true. But that's all. I'm just kind of rambling on a little bit, so this video really isn't going anywhere. It's just me talking, and that's it.